Hello, welcome back to Fragdicted. In today's video, we're going to be going through my top 10 winter fragrances that really suit the festive period. So stay right where you are. Right, so firstly, we have an honourable mention. This is Honourable Mention's cologne, and this is their vanilla fragrance. Now, this comes across to me as really high quality, very photorealistic vanilla. And it is really just that. There's not a lot else going on, but it's just so comforting. I love wearing this in the winter. I wore this last Christmas and definitely something that's worth picking up if you can find it cheap enough. I think I picked this 250 ml bottle up for about £15. So incredible value for money and something I find really comforting. Let's move into the list. So number 10 we have Rich Warm Addictive from Zara. This is one of the first fragrances I picked up and I've used a bit, and I just find it really comforting, really distinctive and actually quite unique. So as you can see from the screen there, the main notes are honey, tobacco, coconut, sandalwood and cedar. This has a bubblegum sweetness to it, but that mixed with a very faint tobacco. The honey and the coconut add the sweetness, and then the creamy woods in the base. And actually, I have a version of this that lasts really well on my skin. One of my favourite from Zara ever, and this is Rich Warm Addictive from Zara. Moving on to number 9. Number 9, we have Louis Carden's Sacred. I picked this up because of a recommendation from Mia from Fab Trends by Mia, and also Nigel from 2 Cents Worth. And the main notes in this are chocolate, caramel, vanilla, sandalwood, musk and amber. Now this is the epitome of gourmand fragrances. It's also cracking value for money. The chocolate, the caramel, the vanilla and the sandalwood give this a real creamy nature. It is really good value for money and I'm really enjoying it. I can't get enough of it actually. It is a really lovely winter fragrance. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is Jazz Club from Maison Margiela. This is from their replica line and I have a couple of favourites. I love At the Barber's, I love By the Fireplace, but I picked this as my first fragrance I picked up from them because of the real winter cosy nuances it gives off. So main notes of pink pepper, rum, tobacco and vanilla. This also has a bubblegum sweetness to it. It's a little bit mass appealing. It's more designer than niche, I would say. It has this gorgeous sweetness to it that I just can't get enough of. It has a slight booziness. It gives off a slight smokiness from the tobacco. It gives off the lovely sweet spices along with the vanilla and sort of woodsy dry down. It is cracking stuff and probably my favourite from the line. Right, next let's move on to number 7 in this list. Number 7 is Aramis Tobacco Reserve. Now this is different from a lot of your tobacco fragrances. It has a light, airy nature and a traditional style to it. You can definitely pick up on the nutmeg. It has iris, tonka, oak moss. Now the main note that you do pick up on is obviously tobacco, but it has that Aramis signature style to it, which I think is coming from the oak moss. It has a sweetness to it, but it has this light, airy nature that I find really comforting. It projects and lasts incredibly well, works incredibly well at this time of year. If you haven't given this a go yet, definitely worth picking up as this becomes increasingly hard to get hold of, especially at a decent price. But I picked this up, I think for around £30, and I think that's great value for money and definitely deserves to be in the list. So that's my number 7. Moving on to number 6. Number 6 is one of my favourite fragrances of all time. It is Dior Homme Intense. This has main notes of lavender, pear, iris, cedar and vetiver. This gives off that lipsticky iris, almost the inside of a handbag or a makeup bag. That could be perceived to be quite feminine, but somehow this leans quite masculine to my nose. I love The spices in it, although they're not listed, I pick up a real spicy, deep, dark iris with that lipsticky nature, but it also gets some lightness from the lavender and the pear. It's definitely got some woods in the background. The whole composition is just stunning and probably one of my favourite designer fragrances of all time. I would say this is definitely niche, high-end quality. Dior at its best for me. So that is my number 6 choice. Let's move on to number 5. Number 5, Pure Malt by Mugler. And the main notes in this are orange, malt, whiskey, coffee, vanilla, woods and patchouli. This is a stunning fragrance. It makes lots of winter lists and for good reason. It has that cosy booziness to it. That mixed with the coffee and the orange up top, and the woods and the vanilla in the background mixed with that chocolatey patchouli note. It is very addictive. It has that mass appealing feel to it, like it's been done before, but it is very likable, and I think it could be liked by many people. It's not too deep and dark, but it lasts well on the skin. It projects and performs very well. This makes a really lovely winter scent, and I think you could wear this to any occasion, but I think this would shine on a night out. You won't find everybody wearing this. For that reason, it's my number 5 choice for this year's winter list. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4, we have Fire by Tessa Williams, and this is from their Elements range. This is really comforting. It has a very light, crackling fire note to it that comes from incense and woods. It has a soft sweetness to it coming from the coconut and the amber and the vanilla. It has a slight softness to it coming from the musk. This is comfort in a bottle. Really impressed by this one, and from a small indie niche house, it's incredible value for money. You can pick this up usually for under £30. This has actually been one of my favourite pickups of the year. I'm so glad to have discovered Tessa Williams' range. Incredible value for money and great quality. But going back to this one reminds me a little bit of By the Fireplace, a little bit softer, a little bit easier to wear than that one. The incense isn't as ramped up, but it's definitely still there. Very well blended. I really enjoyed this one. So for that reason, it's my number 4 winter fragrance and great for the holiday season. Let's move into number 3. Number 3, this is a very new pickup for me, and this is something that I have actually worn as my scent of the day today. It has main notes of tobacco, rum, patchouli, vanilla and exotic spices. This is an original creation from Alexandria Fragrances, something that's been reviewed quite often, and you know what, for good reason. It is an absolute power bomb. It is very loud in the opening, very strong, but it's very addictive, and it's got this sweetness along with the powerful nature that comes from the opening. It settles back to be a very warm, woodsy vanilla fragrance, but the favourite bit for me is the opening. It is a statement maker. I know this is going to be one of my favourite fragrances in my collection. It is stunning, it's loud, it's powerful, but it's got some of my favourite notes in. If you want something that's going to make a statement, I think this works. Cracking fragrance for the winter. Definitely moved up to be one of my favourites I own. So well done Alexandria on this one. Cracking fragrance. That's Hafest 1984. Definitely worth investigating if you haven't tried it yet. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2, we have Profumum Roma's Dolce Infundo. I picked this up in the summer on my trip to Harrods. You probably heard the story already. The notes listed are vanilla and citruses. This has a sort of deeper, darker vanilla to it, almost like it's a Mexican vanilla, which is a little bit stronger than some of the Madagascan varieties you find, and a little bit less sweet. This definitely has some spices in that aren't listed. And that mixed with the brightness of the citruses, you need very little, and it lasts for an eternity. It projects and performs very well. It is the epitome of winter fragrances to me. Definitely one of my favourites in my whole collection and perfect for the festive Christmas holidays. So that is my number 2 Dolce & Fundo. Let's move on to my number 1. My number 1 is Tom Ford's Plum Japonais. I got to try this as a sample in the summer. I fell in love with it immediately. The notes on this are cinnamon, saffron, plum, liquor, agar wood, vanilla and amber. This is probably my favourite spicy fragrance I've ever tried. The spices in this are incredible. I think the cinnamon and the saffron work perfectly together, but it's almost got like a pink peppery note in there as well. The spices really tickle your nostrils, but they're never overdone. But you would definitely describe this as a spicy fragrance. The plum is really prominent, as you'd expect from the name, but that mixed with the agar wood and the liquor and the vanilla and the amber, it has a lovely sweetness to it as well. It goes a little bit powdery in the dry down. It does change a little bit on your skin as you wear it. It performs and lasts incredibly well. And I just love the style it is. I wouldn't say this is for a younger man. I think this is for a more mature gentleman. But it has this classiness and this real appeal to it. I hate using this expression in fragrances, but I find it quite sexy. I think this would work equally well on a lady or a man. A lovely fragrance all round and something that I am super thrilled to have in my collection. This was a present from my wife at Christmas. This Christmas, I opened this yesterday and it's gone straight to my number 1 of festive holiday fragrances. So that has been my list. I hope you enjoyed it. Something a bit different for this video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you again very, very soon. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe. It's really important you push that notification bell so you're amongst the first to see my content as I release it, and you should get a notification up on your phone. There's one last thing, don't forget to keep smelling wonderful.